we need to talk about Kyle Shanahan. Now, don't get me wrong, Shanahan is one of the best coaches in football, but for whatever reason, the dude cannot figure it out in the big game. We've now seen it 3 times with him as the offensive play caller for a Super Bowl team be unable to keep a lead in the second half of a Super Bowl. Now, let's be fair. Both of those Super Bowls were against the GOAT and the baby GOAT. So I get that maybe it's not all on Shanahan, but your job as an offensive play caller is to keep your offense going. You have the lead. You're in the second half. Running the ball has been working. Why are you passing it on 1st and 2nd and 3rd down on every drive and just continuously punting the ball back to Patrick Mahomes to just let him win the game? You just didn't want it. You wanted your defense to do it. I don't really understand any of Shanahan's thought process in all 3 Super Bowls he has been in. Shanahan is by far schematically maybe the best coach in football. I mean, his offense is so plug and play. I'm pretty sure you could put me in there at quarterback and we'd win games because Shanahan takes everything out of the quarterback's hands. Tom Brady was talking on a podcast this week about how that probably stunts the development of quarterbacks, having them not have any checks, any reads, any progressions, having everything be designed to change after the play starts instead of pre-snap. We've seen many Shanahan system guys leave Shanahan's system and not be good anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the best example. It's very interesting to think about how the scheme is so good for the 49ers, but because of that, they can't make up for where they lack. If you look at the Chiefs scheme is incredible. Andy Reid is a great play designer and great play caller. But Andy Reid has Patrick Mahomes. So if things aren't going perfectly and the play that was designed somehow isn't going to go perfectly because it's not going to be perfect every time, Mahomes can figure it out. Shanahan's never had a quarterback who could make the big play when it mattered, and he still doesn't. Thinking about it, looking at it, Kyle Shanahan is like Don Coryell. Now, if you go back to the 70s and 80s to Don Coryell is the father of the modern offense, this West Coast system, this Shanahan stuff. That was Coryell. But he never won anything. Ever. He won, in total, over 14 years, he made it to 9 playoff games. He won 3. Now, if you're just looking at that, Shanahan is already by far the better coach. He's been to a couple Super Bowls. He wins in the playoffs all the time. But the thing with Coryell is, of the teams that did the West Coast style offense, while the offense may have been better, his teams were worse. When we look back at the father of the West Coast offense, people point to guys like Bill Walsh and not Don Coryell. Could we be seeing that again, where Shanahan's system is similar to a bunch of other guys in the league? LaFleur, McVay, O'Connell. One of those coaches has already won a Super Bowl. And what, in the case of McVay and the case of LaFleur, what do those guys have? They have the scheme, but they also have a quarterback who can live without the scheme. They can make a play. And I don't know if Shanahan's offense isn't designed for a true playmaker, and that's why they moved off of Trey Lance so fast. Or maybe Trey Lance just sucks. That's possible and that's fair. But Shanahan's team relies entirely on scheme. And it just doesn't work. And when you make mistakes with that scheme, you don't have anybody who can bail you out. Then we learn maybe the biggest coaching blunder of all time in this Super Bowl. The 49ers didn't understand the overtime rules. Like, you think about that for just a second. As a coach, you didn't have your players understanding what the new overtime rules were, how they worked, and you didn't have a plan for if the game went into overtime, and your entire thought process, it just misses completely. Well, you know, if we wanted the ability to you know, if we take the ball first and we score and then they score, we get the ball first in sudden death. But that doesn't matter. The only time that getting the ball first matters is if you get the ball first, score a touchdown, go for 2, and get it. Then the other team scores a touchdown, goes for 2, and gets it. Then it matters. That's the only scenario. Because if you score a touchdown, take the extra point, the Chiefs are just going to go for 2 and beat you. Goodbye. Good night. You're going against Andy Reid. He's the best red zone play caller of all time. It's not going to matter. They're going to score. It's goofy. It's just bad thought process. It's just bad process overall. And as the guy who's supposed to be the best coach in football to A, not have your team ready, B, not to have a real plan, and C, the plan that you're saying you had make no sense, it just doesn't work. That doesn't compute. That's not how this is. And I get the overtime rules are confusing for fans, but it's also, you know, not our literal job to have this figured out and to know what's going on. And it's not like this is the first year of the new rules. These were instituted in 2021. I'm beginning to question Kyle Shanahan overall. Is he going to be this generation's Don Coryell? Is he going to be Dan Reeves? Is he going to be one of these all-time great coaches that you look back and you question, man, why did he never win anything? And when we look back, will most of it be his fault? That's a question for you to answer. But I think that's all I've got for this one. So thank you for watching. Thanks for giving me your time. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Kyle Shanahan right now. And I think that'll do it for me. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.